Well, hi, friends. In Acts chapter 2, when we read about the early church, we see that one of the things to which the earliest believers devoted themselves was prayer. And we as a church want to live into that same devotion. And I want to tell you right now about a few upcoming opportunities to engage alongside your spiritual family in this most essential act of our Christian faith, and that is prayer. One of them in particular is important and timely as an opportunity to pray as we lead up to the election coming up in November. In the book of 1 Timothy, Paul is writing to his young protege, Timothy, and in chapter 2, he says this: I urge then, first of all, that prayers, petitions, intercession, and thanksgiving be made for all people, for kings and all those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. We want to take seriously God's call to pray for those in authority, and we want to pray for our nation, pray for those who lead our nation, pray for the direction of our nation. We are grateful to live in a country that has an election process that allows us to voice our longings and our hopes for the direction we want to see our country going. But we need to remember that it's an expression of our confidence in God to take those prayers to Him. It is a declaration that our true trust, our true hope, lies in the God who controls the universe. So starting on October 5th and each day through November 3rd, which is Election Day, we are going to be gathering as a church family. We invite you, if you are able, to join us here on the church campus from 12:15 to 12:45 during the lunch hour. And what we are going to be doing each day is simply praying that we would be people who are filled with God's vision for our nation, filled with His Word, that our minds are shaped by His Word, and that translates into action. If you can't join us in person during those times, I want to invite you to get a different group together, maybe a group of friends. Maybe you make a covenant with one or two others that you're going to pray each day leading up to the election. If you would rather do that, or you can't make it to our in-person gatherings and you would benefit from the materials, be sure to reach out to the church office. We'd love to get those materials to you. Church, let's exercise in the days ahead the great privilege we have as those whose allegiance is to the Lord who sits on the throne of the universe, no matter who sits in the Oval Office. Let's exercise that privilege by bringing to God our longings, our hopes, asking Him to search and know our hearts in the days leading up to this important election on November 3rd. I also want to remind you, church, we gather every Wednesday morning right here on the church campus at 6:45 to pray. And we pray that God would bless His church, that He would expand His kingdom. We pray for God's great purposes in the world. We pray for our missionaries. We pray for many in our spiritual family. Church, it's always a really encouraging time, and we would love for you to be a part of that week by week. 6:45, we meet on the front patio just in front of the sanctuary. Bring a chair, bring a mask, and bring a heart ready to come pray. And finally, I want to remind you, church, that prayer is really central to what we do in our Sunday gatherings as well. And so in this past Sunday service, as well as in the weeks ahead, we have reintroduced prayer teams. It's a little difficult during this season of COVID to know how to do this, but we are excited to continue to labor alongside one another in prayer. So each Sunday, if you're joining us here on campus for our worship services, know that there will be a prayer team available right in front of the coffee room, and that will start during the last couple of songs after we take communion, and they'll stay as long as necessary in order to pray with those who would like prayer. If you are joining us for our Sunday worship gatherings online, know that there will be a Zoom option for prayer as well. Church, we want to continue to be devoted to the things the early church was devoted to, and one of those things is prayer. We believe that God moves in response to prayer. So let's be a people who trust Him and demonstrate that trust by coming to Him with our petitions, our requests, our thanksgiving, and our praises.